Time is the one resource we all get equally. Whether you're rich or poor, young or old, each of us has 24 hours in a day. Yet, what separates success from regret, fulfillment from frustration, is how we use those hours. Too often, we treat time like it's unlimited. We scroll endlessly, procrastinate on dreams, and stay stuck in things that drain us, jobs we hate, relationships that don't grow, habits that keep us small. We tell ourselves we'll change tomorrow, but tomorrow turns into years, and before we know it, we're looking back not with pride, but with what-ifs. I'm here to say, don't waste your time. Time is not refundable. You can earn back money, you can regain strength, you can rebuild relationships, but you can never get back time. Use it to grow, use it to love, use it to build, to rest, to learn, to take risks, to make mistakes. But don't use it to stay stuck. Every moment you spend intentionally is an investment in your future. Every moment you waste is a piece of your life you give away for nothing in return. So, be brave enough to cut out distractions. Be smart enough to choose your priorities. Be bold enough to chase what matters. Your time is your life. Don't waste it. Time is the only resource in life that, once spent, can never be earned back. Unlike money, which can be saved, invested, or recovered, or physical energy, which can be restored with rest, time flows in only one direction, forward. Every second that passes is a second gone forever, never to be replayed, recycled, or reclaimed. Think about it. No matter how powerful, wealthy, or influential someone may be, they cannot buy a single extra minute of life. Billionaires and beggars alike live within the same framework of 24 hours a day. That's the ultimate equalizer. What differs, though, is how each person chooses to use those hours. Some use time to build legacies, strengthen relationships, and pursue dreams. Others let it slip through their fingers in mindless routines, toxic cycles, or fear-based inaction. Wasting time often doesn't feel like wasting at all. It feels harmless in the moment, scrolling through social media for just a few minutes, putting off something you know needs to be done, or spending years in a situation that no longer serves you. These small, seemingly insignificant choices accumulate, and one day you wake up and realize that entire seasons of your life have passed, and you didn't truly live them. We must become aware that each hour is a fragment of our life story. When we waste time, we're not just being unproductive. We're giving away pieces of our existence without purpose or return. Every minute spent on something that doesn't contribute to your growth, joy, or fulfillment is a minute you're trading away from something that could have. Understanding the value of time is the first step toward living with urgency, clarity, and purpose. It invites us to ask tough but essential questions. What am I doing with the time I've been given? Am I using it to get closer to who I want to become? Or am I allowing it to pass me by while I remain stuck, distracted, or disengaged? Procrastination is often disguised as a harmless delay, a decision to do it later, when we feel more ready, more motivated, or more confident. But what seems like a temporary pause can easily become a permanent habit. Over time, procrastination doesn't just postpone action. It robs you of potential. It silently drains the opportunity to grow, to change, to achieve, and to become the person you're capable of being. Every time we procrastinate, we're gambling with time. We assume we'll have the energy, the mental space, or the circumstances to act later, but life doesn't guarantee a later. Unexpected changes, shifting priorities, or missed windows can close doors we thought would always be open. That business idea you keep putting off, someone else might launch it. That conversation you meant to have, the moment may pass forever. That talent you're not developing, it dulls with disuse. What's dangerous about procrastination is that it often wears the mask of justification. I'm too busy, I'm waiting for the right time, I'll start next week. These excuses sound reasonable, and they protect us from discomfort in the short term, but they come at a cost. Over time, those delays create a backlog of missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. You begin to feel stagnant, not because you lack ability, but because action has been repeatedly postponed. Procrastination also breeds guilt and anxiety. The longer you avoid something, the heavier it weighs on your mind. It becomes a mental burden affecting your confidence and your clarity. Instead of freeing up time and energy, it does the opposite. It clutters your thoughts, disrupts your focus, and makes even small tasks feel overwhelming. The truth is, there's rarely a perfect time to start anything worthwhile. The perfect time is almost always a myth. Progress begins when you take imperfect action now, not when everything aligns just right. Momentum doesn't come from thinking or waiting. It comes from doing. By taking the first small step, even when you don't feel ready, you begin to reclaim your time, your purpose, and your future. In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by distractions, notifications buzzing, social media feeds endlessly refreshing, streaming platforms offering entertainment on demand, and a flood of information competing for our attention every second. While these things may seem harmless or even relaxing, they are often the most dangerous thieves of our time because they steal it subtly. Unlike big crises or major life events that demand attention, distractions slip in quietly and consume minutes, hours, and even days before we realize they're gone. One of the greatest traps of modern life is mistaking activity for productivity. We can spend entire days reacting to messages, checking our phones, switching between apps, or getting pulled into conversations that offer no real value. At the end of the day, we feel busy, but we're not fulfilled, and we haven't moved any closer to our goals. That's because our time wasn't invested in anything meaningful. It was fragmented, scattered, and wasted. Distractions also come in emotional and mental forms. Negative relationships, toxic environments, overthinking, and self-doubt are all internal distractions that keep us from focusing on what truly matters. These are more dangerous than the external ones because they disguise themselves as reality or necessity. We stay in places we've outgrown or engage in drama that adds no value because we haven't learned to protect our focus and energy. The more distracted you are, the less effective you become. Creativity suffers. Discipline weakens, long-term vision fades. Focus is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it deteriorates. When we constantly allow distractions to interrupt us, we teach our minds that shallow attention is acceptable. We normalize jumping from one thing to another without ever diving deep into anything. The cost isn't just lost hours. It's the missed opportunity to build something meaningful. Great work, strong relationships, and personal growth all require presence. They need time, yes, but more importantly, they need attention. When that attention is hijacked by distractions, we lose the ability to be fully present in our own lives. The scariest part is that distractions don't always feel harmful in the moment. Checking your phone for 5 minutes doesn't seem like a big deal until you do it 30 times a day. Watching one video online isn't an issue until you've watched a series and lost an entire weekend. Little distractions, repeated daily, become major life detours. Over time, they shape the quality of your life, your work, and your future without your conscious consent. Time in itself is neutral. It's neither productive nor wasted until we decide how to use it. What gives time its true value is purpose. When you live with intention, even a single hour can carry the weight of progress, meaning, and fulfillment. But without a clear sense of purpose, entire days, months, or even years can drift by in a haze of routine, distraction, and passivity. Purpose acts as a compass. It helps you determine what deserves your time and what doesn't. It gives your actions direction, your efforts significance, and your choices clarity. Without purpose, it's easy to fall into the trap of busyness without meaning, constantly doing, constantly moving, yet never truly going anywhere that matters. You find yourself stuck in cycles, working a job you don't care about, pursuing goals you didn't choose for yourself, or spending time on things that don't align with who you really are. When you're connected to your purpose, even hard work feels worthwhile. You begin to approach time not as something to fill, but as something to honor. You start prioritizing the things that align with your values, whether that's building a skill, spending quality time with loved ones, helping others, or creating something that matters to you. You become more discerning about how you spend your hours because you understand what they're building toward. Purpose also brings urgency. When you know what you're meant to do, or at least what direction you want to head in, you feel a deeper responsibility to not let time slip away. You understand that every moment is a chance to take a step forward, even a small one, and suddenly your time begins to carry weight. You start making choices with greater awareness, choosing progress over comfort, long-term rewards over short-term pleasure, growth over stagnation. Having a purpose doesn't mean you have to be constantly productive or chasing a huge goal. It simply means you live with meaning. Whether you're resting, working, learning, or connecting, purpose allows you to be intentional. It transforms time from something that passes you by into something you actively shape. Without purpose, time is just movement without meaning. With purpose, time becomes a vehicle for transformation. One of the fundamental truths of life is that time is unpredictable. None of us knows exactly how much of it we'll have. We can make plans, set goals, and dream of the future, but life doesn't promise us tomorrow or even the next hour. The length of our time on this earth is not something we have the power to choose. It can be shortened by circumstances beyond our control: illness, accidents, unexpected changes, or simply the natural progression of life. And yet, within this uncertainty lies an incredible power. While we can't control how much time we get, we can control how we use the time we have. That distinction is everything. It puts the responsibility for our lives back into our own hands. It reminds us that while we may not be in charge of time's quantity, we are entirely in charge of its quality. Too many people live as if time is infinite, putting off dreams and decisions until someday. But someday is not a day of the week. It's an illusion that causes people to delay living. They wait to say, "I love you." They wait to forgive. They wait to start that project, take that trip, or make that bold change. They wait until the right conditions appear: more money, more confidence, more clarity, only to discover later that time has moved on without them. What makes the difference is not the amount of time you have, but how deeply you live in the time you're given. A person can live a full, meaningful life in a short span of years if they are intentional, focused, and present. Another can live decades going through the motions, never truly engaging, never really choosing their life. It's not about longevity. It's about presence, purpose, and conscious action. Taking control of how you use your time means becoming proactive rather than reactive. It means designing your days instead of drifting through them. It means aligning your actions with your values, eliminating what doesn't serve you, and investing in what truly matters. It doesn't mean you need to be productive every second of the day. It means you choose to be aware of how you're spending your moments. Time once spent is gone forever, but time that is well spent, even in rest, reflection, or connection, is never wasted. It's part of a life that is lived deliberately. Time, when used wisely, becomes a powerful investment. Unlike money, which can be stolen or lost, time that is intentionally directed toward personal growth always yields some form of return. Whether you're learning a new skill, developing emotional resilience, improving your health, or expanding your mind, time spent growing is never wasted. It compounds in value over the course of your life. The most successful, fulfilled people in the world didn't stumble into their achievements by chance. They consistently chose to invest their time in learning, evolving, and becoming better versions of themselves. Growth doesn't happen passively. It requires conscious effort, self-awareness, and, most importantly, time. The books you read, the conversations you have, the challenges you take on, and even the mistakes you make all contribute to your development if you approach them with the mindset of growth. What's important to understand is that growth isn't just academic or professional. It's also deeply personal. It's about becoming more patient, more empathetic, more disciplined. It's about understanding your own patterns, overcoming past limitations, and gaining the strength to face life's uncertainties. Time spent on this kind of internal work often doesn't produce immediate, visible results, but over time, it builds a solid foundation for everything else in your life. Investing time in growth also makes you more adaptable. The world is constantly changing. Technology advances, industries evolve, and life circumstances shift. If you're not actively growing, you're likely falling behind. But when you use your time to sharpen your skills, expand your perspective, and stay curious, you position yourself to navigate change rather than be overwhelmed by it. Moreover, growth multiplies opportunity. The more you learn and grow, the more doors open. You begin to see connections where others see confusion, and you develop the confidence to take on challenges others shy away from. People notice those who are constantly improving. It makes you stand out not because you're perfect, but because you're progressing. It's easy to underestimate what growth requires. It's often uncomfortable, slow, and invisible at first. But every hour spent reading, practicing, listening, asking questions, or reflecting plants a seed, and over time, those seeds bloom into wisdom, competence, and character, qualities that can't be bought, only earned. Few things in life are more painful than looking back and realizing how much time was lost, not because of what happened, but because of what didn't. Conversations never started, the goals never pursued, the dreams left sitting on a shelf, all of these become sources of quiet regret that build over time. Unlike mistakes, which often teach us something valuable, wasted time tends to leave behind a void, an absence of experience, growth, and opportunity. Regret tied to wasted time usually doesn't come suddenly. It creeps in gradually. At first, it shows up as a subtle dissatisfaction, a sense that you could be doing more or living differently. Then, as the months and years pass, it grows heavier. You start to realize that the chances you kept pushing into the future are no longer within reach. The energy you once had, the relationships you took for granted, the bold decisions you delayed, they've changed or disappeared entirely. What makes wasted time particularly haunting is that it's irreversible. You can apologize for words said in anger, you can repair relationships, change careers, or make amends for bad choices, but you can never go back and relive the time you didn't use well. That realization often hits hardest when people are older or when they're forced to confront their own mortality. It's then that they look back, not regretting the risks they took, but the ones they didn't. Not lamenting the failures, but the dreams they were too afraid or too distracted to chase. Regret is not just emotional. It has real consequences. It affects mental health, self-esteem, and even the quality of relationships. It can lead to a constant sense of what if that colors every present moment with a shadow of the past. People who live with unprocessed regret often become stuck, unable to fully enjoy the time they have now because they're consumed by what they can't change. But what's important to understand is that regret isn't just a reflection of the past. It's a warning for the future. It's a signal that time should not be taken for granted, that life is not something to be passively observed but actively lived. It's a reminder that today's choices become tomorrow's memories or tomorrow's regrets. Wasting time might feel harmless in the moment, especially when there's no immediate consequence, but over time those moments accumulate. One more hour lost to distractions, one more day spent in indecision, one more year without movement toward your goals. It all adds up. And eventually, you're left with the sinking realization that you've run out of the very thing you thought you had more of, time.